Hi, everybody.
Hello, good morning.
Hello. Give it 4 minutes. Or how's it going, Victor?
Hey, good, good. How are you doing, please?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Oh, I think you can change your where you have fun recently.
Yeah, I'm just
But
I'm at home right now, but I'm on my couch, so.
nice. Yeah, actually, I joined the CD events meeting um, last two times, and I believe there's an interest in um, I don't even call that collaboration because they're part of the CD Foundation. So um, I think once we get to the point we know the landscape and what is DataOps, there should be some uh, how to say you call it synergy or not to work with CD events to create events for DataOps.
Yeah, I know Andrea and the DC quite well, and I think they've got the interoperability between some of the basic DevOps tools down, but they are struggling a little bit in terms of the like domain knowledge for like making sure CD events can fit into data engineering tools. Like say something like Airflow, I think is a knowledge gap there. I did introduce so there's another organization that are more in the data ops realm doing another metadata spec that is very similar to CD events. And what they're doing is that they're trying to model themselves a little bit after CD events before they do a formal introduction to themselves. So like there is like another organization that is probably going to try merging into CD events at all at one point.
Oh, another outside of CDF or another
Yeah, so let
decent
me
CDF.
see. So Matt Mullins, who let me see if I can pull up his LinkedIn. I probably shouldn't say this on a meeting, but like some of his team is working on an open source metadata spec as well. And so I sent him CD events when he was kind of just starting to build it. When they showed it to me, though, it was like very early infancy stage, so they might not have had the time to work on it. Yeah, let me see if I can find where that thread has gone. Yeah, how's everybody else doing?
Doing pretty good.
So, yeah. Yeah, I see Matt again, I think in a month or so for all things open. Maybe I'll ask him to present at this meeting actually. That might be a good way to do it for us to kind of facilitate that collaboration a little bit more.
Yeah, that actually, Andrea was not didn't join the call last 2 weeks. It's let's see who it's the Ben and the DC from Apple who are actually quite interested in extending CD events to DataOps.
Yeah, so Dadisi is awesome. Dadisi is actually the reason why I'm here. So him and I met a while ago, and he was the one who brought me on as a uh like ambassador for the CD Foundation. And his idea for a really long time now has been to pivot the CDF into more of like an AIML friendly organization and to integrate between a lot of those tools. Like just from his experience with Apple, like there was a lot of opportunity there as well. So definitely I think that there's like top like bottom up support and top down support at the same time. Awesome. Well, it's good to see everybody here. I feel like the next couple meetings might be more warm up meetings as we're getting back into the fall, but I'm happy to see folks around and here so far. So I do have a bit of an agenda today to go over both some of the initiative stuff that we're doing, some of the projects that we've discussed in the past, but also there is like another, maybe a little bit more of a sensitive topic. I'm really curious to hear your guys' thoughts as part of the initiative as well, for another agenda item that I have afterwards. So let me share my screen. And then also I want to figure out our next birds of a feather. I feel like having just like another core open discussion. We haven't done a BOF in a really long time. And so I feel like most of the reason why we come here is just to talk about fun technology things anyways. Let me share my screen. If it will let me. Cool. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Awesome. So it's been a while since we've kind of gotten updates on different talks. So one of the updates that I want to give as well before we get into everything is the workshop that Dan ran. So Dan ran a Spark workshop for us on containers slash Kubernetes. And so Dan, do you want to give like a high level rundown of like the things that you covered in the workshop and where people can watch or support the workshop or share it?
Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity first off. And yeah, so what we kind of covered was how to containerize Apache Spark. So you build a data pipeline on Apache Spark, but containerize it. So that is called DevOps for data. So that is what I kind of discussed, from commits to building artifacts, images, and then signatures, and then rollouts and rollbacks and all of that stuff. I kind of prepared a small demo as well. I've shared the GitHub link of that demo, which is the basic folder structure or directory structure from where you can actually start deploying. Kind of demystified a lot of stuff around Dockers and Kubernetes, because whenever developers tend to hear that, they tend to go bonkers. So, and then a lot of discussion around monolithic architecture versus containerization. Obviously, I tend to lean more towards containerized architecture and microservices. So that was also discussed. So yeah, and some platform guardrails and all of that stuff.
Awesome. And so how did you feel it landed, and what were like some of the tough things about doing the workshop that maybe you didn't realize for like other people who might be thinking about doing a similar workshop?
I think this problem is specific to me. I tend to go too deep and I forget my target audience. So uh, kind of, choosing, prioritizing what to say and what not to say, that has always been my struggle since the start. I tend to geek out a lot. So like if I go too much into one aspect, I may get logged, losing the bigger picture, the process. So that is something within workshops. You need to have a definite scope, a definite start, a definite end. That is what I struggle to maintain often. But are
Yeah.
you asking on a technical side or generally?
On the technical side as well, because I feel like workshops like this, I also want to scope a little bit more. Like, is it too dense of a workshop to give in the time that you have? Like, I thought you did a really good job at it, but I also like didn't see the process of like making it and things like that. So I don't know maybe what struggles you had.
Yeah, the on the technical side, I think that is the main thing to go around, because now the field has expanded in so many areas that you cannot stick to one. I try to stick to DevOps, but then vibe coding suddenly comes along, and I have to go into AI assisted coding, which is a whole lot of a whole set of topics over there as well. So yeah,
Mhm.
on that is pretty much I had to. look. And then obviously a lot of developers have their own workflows, organizations have their own workflows. Now what I'm proposing, I tend to struggle with, giving a framework that is kind of agnostic to platform. Yeah, but yeah, platform agnosticity is something that because someone might be working on GCP or GKE or DigitalOcean or AWS, whatever. So you have to come up with something that kind of works everywhere. The if you see the GitHub folder, that kind of works the way I set it up. That is kind of platform agnostic in that way. I kind of figured it out that okay, you stick to the fundamentals in a way that that kind of applies for everyone. So yeah.
And what would be your advice to other folks who want to like do a workshop? Like, how would you, present this to a first timer? What is any stuff that you would pass along in terms of knowledge?
Yeah, you cannot, appease to every audience. So you need to be very clear of who your audience is, and because you cannot really start from very scratch. Or so just to set it up, you need to define beforehand what your audience would look like, and then deliver it. Do not try to spread facts from ChatGPT or Google or everything. If the topic is relatively new for you, you might want to play around for a bit and get some personal experience on it, because when you speak from personal experience, that tends to relate more with you and you're able to deliver better. So that is to something to go on, and just pick one problem and just stick to it. Define the scope or the scenario and stick to it, because you cannot cover everything within 30 minutes time frame. So it's always best to take a use case and the tool that you're going to talk about or the technology you're going to talk about, just apply it to that use case. Maybe that is something that people can use, and the key takeaway would be to use those principles and apply it to their domain. You cannot solve everyone's problem from one workshop, but you can give them the conceptual guidelines or the tools to solve the problems. Right now, tooling or even learning, I've recently shifted programming languages as well, and I find that due to this AI assisted scene, I am not a white coder, sorry. The AI assisted or AI enhanced coding, that kind of allows you to, if you have the fundamentals right, you can program pretty much in any language. And but the thing is that you need to get your fundamentals straight. So those are things that need to be integrated within your workshops. Keep the concepts there. Take a problem, just try to solve it, and within that scope or within that domain, and allow people to, you teach a man a fish, how give a man a fish, you teach him, you feed him for a day, teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So keep that principle in mind, and I think that will be good enough. Just talk about solving problems rather than explaining the tools and all that.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for running this workshop. I put the link in the meeting minutes as well, and so definitely like it's a good dense half hour, but it's really high value, right? And so I think that's kind of one of the things is that we gave Tan this challenge of doing this really daunting topic that had like a lot of ambiguity around it, and he just like knocked it out of the park. So yeah, amazing stuff, and I'm really happy to see it come together for sure. Thank you again for doing it for us.
Really honored.
um awesome. So the other thing that I want to get into is probably like our goals for 2025, and what we want to push to 2026, just because we're in our last quarter. And so I think that like the this is really interesting because we have talked about this landscape, and I think last time we voted that the landscape would be our most, I guess, like P0 for the year. And I would like to have it be our win. And so one of the things that I really want to uh, come over is like sort of our next action plan for the landscape. I feel like right now what we've done is just like dump it all on Dan. And I feel like, okay, if we really want this out by the end of the year, like let's all get some hands together and help him out, instead of just me like, okay, we want this to be done by this time. And so if I recall correctly, the last time that we were out with the landscape, is like kind of getting all of these categories together and figuring out what we wanted to filter down as like our top categories, and then scoping out some tools to be on it. Is that kind of where we were at, if I recall correctly?
I think so. I remember us putting together a diagram. Actually, Dan did the diagram, and then we had
Yeah.
a document with a lot of good information.
Yeah, let's see if we can. It was this Excel draw, I believe. Right? No, this is actually, wasn't this yours, Vivek, for the team topology that we were discussing? Yeah, and so we do have like these tools as well that are here, and sort of the criteria and description. And so one of the things that I think we want to do, oh, here's our checklist. I think this was partially AI generated as well. And then the contributing field. So I think a couple of things that we need to do, because we were in question a lot whether or not we would host it on the CDF website or the CNCF website, etc. So I think we should stick with the CDF website, and that was a conclusion that we went to anyways. But we will fork the CNCF structure. So I think it's actually on me to build the. I think that I'm actually the blocker on this. So landscape updates to build the actual repo. Oh, whoa, wrong company. There's like 4 emails I have here. To fork landscape repo on CDF. And then once that's done, we'll create the website, I guess. And then after that, I think we do have our general topics that we want to do highlighted here. And so then it's just like scoping out what I would say is 1 or 2 projects that we want to put through our evaluation process. And then once we get to the evaluation process, we'll probably hash out a lot of the fine details in terms of like, are these the right things to measure a project by? How hard is it to get this information? And we'll start with something really simple and easy that we know that there's a lot of information, such as like Airflow or something like that, or even Spark. And then once we get that together, I think just doing it for one project first, then we can have the landscape set up. Does everybody agree with that approach? Are there any qualms? I think just like keeping the bar really low, just trying to get one the landscape structure up, and then trying to put one project through is probably the best way to go through it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's
I think
reasonable to. It's an
yeah, I think
achievable.
looks good. One thing I think missed the session about the landscape. Also, my understanding right now the plan is to hold off on the collaboration with Paul. DOK, right? So I'm actually reviewing the session that Dan did for Kubernetes. That's pretty good. So should we pause on that, or maybe actually share those sessions with DOK, or maybe even for you listen and Dan to present at DOK using those information. I see both of your sessions in the same podcast.
Yeah, I think it would be great to share Dan's session with DOK. I want to promote Dan's session as much as possible. The video was just posted, I think, yesterday, so we haven't had a chance to really put it through our pipeline. Roxanne is also on vacation right now, but do like promote this. I plan on promoting it on LinkedIn and things like that to make sure that thing like it gets as many views as it deserves. Dan did like work really hard to make sure that this workshop was appropriate and was the right scope. So do share
Yeah,
it with
so
the Kubernetes community.
I didn't quite get what's the reason for doing a landscape first before collaboration with DOK. What is the reason for that?
So we voted a little bit ago in terms of what we wanted our actual priorities to be and what we felt would give the most value. So on this as well was like the Git book, the evaluation frameworks, the workshops, the certification course. And this is our voting history of what we voted on in terms of what we felt was the most important priority for us to work on. And so, which is sad because reference architectures is actually really important, but we felt like unless the ecosystem landscape was in place, unless the evaluation frameworks were in place, that like the other things wouldn't provide as much value. And so, due to limited manpower and like, I just want us to be able to focus and know like that the work that we're putting into will eventually sort of see the light of day. That's where we were at. Does that make sense, Victor?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's mainly manpower. Yeah, in this case, there's no need for additional manpower. It's already dense. The session's already. It's a repeatable attention generation, not revenue generation, but attention generation tool. We can probably share with the OK.
Yeah, definitely. And I would like if you want to rope Dan into any of the DOK stuff, I would obviously check with Dan first. I know that he's about to start his PhD, so he might get really busy all of a sudden. So definitely do make sure that you're checking in with him if you're like, hey, there's this really great opportunity for you to present here, that he's in the know of all of that.
Yeah, I think at least I think I also saw your session in the same podcast. I think it would be great for you and Dan to give a talk, just using the same information, give a talk at DOK. So they can publish the same video in DOK, so you get the same, same content published in more places, same information. Oh, by the way, am I just hallucinating? I think Dan has a different haircut.
Dan,
Am I right?
have you changed your hair recently?
They've grown pretty much. If you remember, I went bald, but now I've got a lot of hair.
Okay, so I'm not hallucinating. I thought
Yeah,
they're close to
you're not.
something.
You're spot on, bro.
You spend
Okay,
half
good.
$1 million on like a Turkish hair replacement thing. That's quite popular these days, I've seen.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as I
Right.
said, I think Lisa, I think it'd be great for you and Dan to go to one of the OK meeting. They need presenters to be recorded and published on YouTube. Both of your cloud native podcast talk into one and to be published in the OK in video list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to get Dan's thoughts on it. What do you think, Dan? I feel like you probably also know DOK quite well.
Yeah, but let me know. Just give me the time and place. I'll manage something.
All
Unless
right.
it's not
I
late at
was
night.
thinking about 2 hours from now. If you could just get some materials together, I'll show up and just give some introduction. I'm joking. But yeah, I would say when do the DOK meetings run? Like are they do you know what
Every
time they're at, Victor?
every 2 weeks. I forgot which day. Every 2 weeks. Yeah, same as this one.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, they're also not as active actually. So I think scheduling is not a problem. But the goal
Mm-hmm.
is just to go there and we can do. I think I can do it there to the audience there as well. But the main goal is to get it started. Also, I think I just checked. I didn't read, see the whole video, but just skim through the Dan's presentation, and Lisa, your previous talk on the same podcast was pretty good. So yeah, maybe shorten it a little bit because it'll be both of your session into 1 hour. But really, on top of what you already talked, just give them introduction to DataOps initiative. I think that's be very cool, very good to start the collaboration. And I said also give repeat your video GitHub basically on the DOK list.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, I'm also happy to have them join us for like a birds of a feather as well if they want to come here. Do you think they would be up for that, where we can discuss maybe like even just databases on
Um,
Kubernetes and run that discussion with them?
to be honest, there's lots of opportunities. So first of all, the one that you and I submitted did not get in, but I do. Are you going to KubeCon, Lisa? You're still going to Atlanta?
I haven't decided if I'm going to KubeCon yet. We don't have a talk in there, or at least I don't have a talk in there. Is anybody else wanting to do KubeCon?
I'm going because I'm going regardless, but I do have a talk accepted, not on data, but on security. But I think the reason to have your and Dan's session published in DOK, we can socialize that information in Atlanta and then get more people to be, because I think that right now, even the DOK community itself, that is kind of not, there should be a lot more active than it is. There's opportunity to jumpstart that as well for Paul.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm happy to. So there's another discussion topic I have in like we can start talking about it now, and then save the last little bit for discussing a next BOF session. I think just getting some timelining on like, I would say like end of November. We're gonna take baby steps with this one, because once we get the landscape on, it's gonna be a lot more work as well. So there is one other discussion point that I wanted to bring up, and I'm glad that it's kind of these folks here, because I think that too many cooks in the kitchen can also make this a little bit tough. So this is not sensitive, but it's a big deal, which is that the LFAI and Data had reached out to me about starting a data ops work group. So the background behind this is that a while ago, like a couple years ago, I initially wanted to start like the DataOps initiative, but it wasn't initially going to be with the CDF actually, despite being an ambassador. The lore behind all of this is that there is a DataOps work group in the Linux Foundation, LFAI and Data, that has been really quiet for some time. So when I saw that there was a data ops work group there, I reached out to all of the work group leads in the LFI and Data, like who were listed, and just like nobody responded to me for months. And I was like, oh, okay. It's super awkward for me to try and redo another data ops thing in LFAI and Data if, generally speaking, there's one that already exists and I can't seem to figure out how to revive it or take it over. And there was so much energy in the CDF at the time to do data stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do it at the CD Foundation instead. And I actually am really happy that I did that, because there's a lot more energy here for this sort of stuff. And I really like the group that we've got together for the Data Ops Initiative. And recently, because I've joined the LFAI and Data Board, like I discussed the initiative that we're doing here, because there was a lot of question in terms of like what value that particular branch of LF is like giving back to its projects, like what are sort of the things that are coming up. And I talked about data ops a little bit and sort of how exciting it is for us to do this, but we're also doing it outside of like a traditional purview where the stuff that we're coming up with here is actually quite authoritative on like a technical front, because there's such like high quality people who come to this particular meetup. So I got an email a little while ago, and Roxanne and I are also discussing on the side as well, that again, LFAI and Data wanted me to revive the working group for the data ops group that they had. But I was like, well, I already have this. Like, why would I do something else if I already have this? And so one of the things that we're discussing now is to merge it. So they discussed with their governing board and their head, Nathan, who's the program manager there, and got sign off in sort of like, having this merged group. But I didn't really know what that would look like. And that's kind of one of the things that we're discussing now. So the first one, to finally get to the long-winded point of this message, is, do we want to collaborate with LFAI and Data? Aside from, I think, something else that OpenSSF has done in the past, this would be the first time two branches of the foundations have really come together in one sort of meeting point, as sort of like this co-owned group, which could be a nightmare or could be really good. I don't know yet. And two, if we want to involve LFAI and Data in our initiative, what capacity do we want them to be involved with us? And what do we feel comfortable like in terms of letting them do? How do we want that to look like? Make them do the chores. I agree. They have to work their way up to the DataOps initiative. So yeah, okay. The first one, I want to give it like sort of a round table. Should we collaborate with LF, AI, and data? And I want to open up the floor to see people's like initial thoughts.
Who's going to be calling the shots and all of that? Like, is it us taking over or they're merging with us? How does that go?
Right, that is the big question. So the nice thing is that I'm on their governing board. So, but I also have very deep interest in terms of us being successful. But I can't promise that'll be forever, right? I don't know. I could leave tomorrow and decide that I want to build camping supplies and leave tech. And then what happens after that? So, I mean, as long as I'm here, I can probably protect us in terms of making sure that we control most of what the like group is doing, but also is that fair, right? So this is sort of the big question. I would like it to continue to live at the CDF, but we need to discuss the terms in terms of if we did include LFAI and data, what would it actually like? What value would we get out of it? I think the first is pretty straightforward in that like they do all of their data related stuff and ML AI related stuff. So we would be able to work with different projects like Feast or like Open Lineage, like all of the stuff that we would kind of be covering anyways. And I think that it would also be pretty legitimizing to the DataOps initiative. Not that we really need it, but it would definitely be like, hey, this is like a real data and AI thing that we've got going on. Like this is where we're at. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. They also have sometimes a
Before I give my yes answer, I'd like to hear what Dan's chore comment as well, and Vivek's input.
I did not understand. Sorry, Victor, can you repeat?
You mentioned given the chore. Can you be more specific? What kind of chore?
Well, it was something like I don't know what their capacity is. Maybe wherever we need more of the legwork done. You know, um, that kind of stuff. That was in my mind that we can talk about. Uh, Whatever seems more repetitive tasks or something like that. The higher level we could do something along this line.
How about you, Vivek?
I feel like if we are able to review our roadmaps and the direction we want to head in and then do the same with them, I think personally the biggest value would be in project specific collaboration instead of merging everything together. So if there is one initiative where they can handle the AI ML layer, the application layer, and then we manage the operations, the data ops layer, I think
Yeah.
there might be value in that kind of a collaboration, because if they are going to duplicate what we are doing and if we are doing what they're already doing, I think then there might be confusion. But since they have AI in their AI and data,
mm-hmm.
I see us more as an infrastructure organization. I see them more as the end users, or they're the application layer.
Yeah, exactly. That is that. Yeah, you put it up very well. The data operations or the infrastructure is our scope, and the application layer is their scope. Yeah, that is what I was thinking. Exactly.
And again,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt, Victor.
no,
I'm under the,
go ahead.
excuse me, that they are an application layer.
Sorry, what?
My assumption is that they are an application layer. I've not gone through the LFAI, their motto or what they support and things like that.
Yeah, this is
No,
my
I'm
they
personal
are
opinion.
mostly AI. You check their work. I was just going through it. So it is
Mhm.
more on the deep learning or on the that side. I see Ludwig as well. I've worked with those guys. Ludwig AI, it's a good tool. So, but that is again machine learning. Mostly you'll find that stuff. Federated learning. They are more AI and application layer heavy, if you might put it that way.
Yeah, there are some data engineering tools that are there, but I don't think they get as much love, right? Maybe I shouldn't be saying
Yeah.
this on like a recorded thing, but I also think that for us, we're very focused on, again, the engineering side of things and the infrastructure. So any pieces that also work in terms of interoperability, we're much more focused on. They might also have those projects. But I do get the sense that a lot of their focus is like on the actual models themselves. And I do think that there is some crossover where if we split this in terms of like the data ops layer versus the ML ops layer, agent ops layer, it will eventually start to get more muddled, like especially if like for instance, like uh, the agent to agent protocol like A2A by Google was recently donated to LFAI and data. And that's something that we will eventually want to talk about, but that's also like applications are probably going to leverage that more than just models, for instance. And so when it comes to deploying those applications that would leverage A2A, I feel like that also kind of falls under our purview because that's an actual application versus just the protocol itself, right? Which might be like officially owned by them. So so yeah, I think that there's a lot of opportunity, but it might be harder to cut where it's at. I do think that there will be some of their folks who would come to our meeting, so that would be one of the ways that they would probably collaborate is just like by joining in on the discussion and things like that, which is nice. And then also, yeah, I feel like the best way to maybe also do this is to have like a set group of folks who would represent both initiatives' interests. Like I like when I think about that, I think of this group specifically, right? Like everybody who's here present at the meeting who would represent the CDF in some sort of way, or at least the data ops initiative. And then if they have a working group, they might have a set number of reps there too. So if we have like a larger change that we want to do, we would probably have to vote on something like that. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm thinking like the landscape should be owned by us, but they might, if they want to merge with us, have some things that live on their side of things too. So we would have to decide on a case by case basis.
Yeah,
My
let them give
personal
the AI stuff.
opinion is I think it's actually good in many aspects. Number one, career-wise, I think it helps everybody. Number one, Lisa, I think you're definitely make the party fun. So you're you're the spirit of the party. So I think being really the leadership in both communities, that's really good. I don't think merging completely, unless the time is really a problem. Having just more meeting is a problem. Unless that's the problem, I think merging completely is probably not necessary. However, definitely can leverage the overlap and reduce the number of meetings needed. The one reason I think it's really complementary, just like Vivek said earlier, and also Dan said earlier about the chore thing, right? Actually, in this week, just yesterday, in the CDF meeting, when I was talking about the possibility of data ops events, one event brought up by Ben Paul, who is from Apple, basically says like actually no it's actually another person raised the possibility of data lineage, right, which is really the core of one of the core technology covered in the RFAI data. And so when we're talking about data ops and related to data lineage, there's no expertise within CDF to give us that information. So by having a dedicated discussion within the RFAI data on DataOps, focusing on, for example, data lineage. They can give us more context there that we cannot do within the CDF. Yeah, that's my, yeah, so in other words, yes, for sure. And it really depends on how much time you have, especially if I know you're busy.
Yeah, I think so as well in terms of the landscape, like having them be part of that reviewing process. I think this is also a good time for us to really push the landscape because I think if we get it to live on our infrastructure first, it might be easier to have it first to bat. But it's also a good way for them to collaborate with us, right? Like they can review which projects are going on the landscape as well, and if they have any insight or expertise that they want to add, that's also very useful. Um, Okay. I need to think on this a little bit more, but I also want everybody else to think on this a little bit more. And part of this reason why is because we won't do this unless we get like a vast majority vote between at least like the the four of us. I also need Roxanne to come back and give some weight on it as well. And we also have to see if the CDF even wants to do that. Like I have not taken this to the DC or any of the CDF governing boards, so I would need to go to their TAC and their governing board to see what they would want to do. So they might also shut this down. Like we might do all this work and they might be like, we don't want to do that. I have a feeling that's probably not the case because it would probably help CDF a little bit more in terms of relevancy, where a lot of like what we're doing is kind of carrying some of that in terms of bringing a lot of those tools back. So this is sort of what I'm thinking as well. So yeah, I don't know. Are there any other strong opinions in terms of how, like any cons maybe of having them part of it? I'm also a little bit scared that they might take over. I don't want that to happen. I'm actually quite scared.
Don't see that the takeover because I also participate in the RFA data. So in the mostly in the responsible AI meetings and also seen other meetings. So I never joined those data lineage meetings before, so I cannot comment on that. But overall, my impression is the RFA data is compared with like CNCF and Kubernetes, it's pretty loosely coupled ecosystem. So yeah, I don't think they will be taking over for sure, especially when it comes to ops and CD events. Those kind of very well defined the details only exist in CDF, not in RFA data.
Okay. So just to be super clear and oh, this is a good question too. What banner will we get under the case of events? I do think that when we do workshops and things like that, like we have an easier time pushing it on our like YouTube channel, things like that. And I do think that the CDF YouTube channel does kind of need the boosting with the socials, but also at the same time, in that vein, generally speaking, the LFAI and data channel might be a little bit more successful than ours. Like if we do a workshop, there might be more visibility on their YouTube and things like that, but they might also be a little bit tighter in terms of what they let in. You're all for that. Yeah, I agree. I don't see LFAI and data doing workshops like Spark on Kubernetes, right? And so they might have a lot of Spark talks, but they might not necessarily have the infrastructure perspective. Yeah, I agree. So generally as like a top level, and you're more than welcome to change this after, like yes or no to opening this conversation and like kind of working towards the aim of having the two, I guess, initiatives or working groups merge or at least be coupled in some sort of way without knowing the specifics. Yes, with rights, yeah. Anybody else?
No for the merge, but I'm open to working parallelly alongside them, or at least I'm open to understanding what is it that they do and where we can help them, where can they help us. I
Yeah.
would only for helping deliver value to a broader audience because they have better social media channels, or rather they've been, I think, around, I don't know, longer.
Hmm.
There's a given example, I think, where the two organizations can help each other is, for example, if I'm in CDF, right? If I'm Jenkins or Tecton, I need to define not necessarily the events, but just also the workflow. How does it work with the data lineage related products, right? So there's no expertise here, right? So to answer those questions, if there is a group of people within LFI data focus on data ops and then talk, okay, this is what you need to do. This is expected ops steps for data lineage. Those information will be very helpful for Jenkins and Tecton and Spinnaker to have those information. Vice versa. If I'm in CDF, like Spinnaker, right, the Apple folks trying to create a more comprehensive workflows for not only CI/CD but also they already do CI/CD and GitOps, right? But DataOps is sort of covered. For example, what did it mean to change the database schema as part of the workflow, right? You can call it part of a CI/CD or maybe a GitOps operation, but it's actually really a data ops question, right? Because that will in turn affect a lot of things: data provenance, data lineage, because you're changing schema, right? So how does that work, right? So for those information, I'm pretty sure Spinnaker and Jenkins and Tecton people, will want to. Did I say that again? I mean, well, I guess I'm just giving an example to show that both organizations really benefited from learning from the other organization. That's also why I think initially maybe using this meeting as the sole meeting will help save time. This way, at least you don't have to host two meetings at same week. But long term, it will be beneficial to have separate meetings, focus on separate topics into ecosystems.
Okay. Victor, I put you down in the meeting minutes as leaning towards yes. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. So I think one of the things that might be helpful is one for us to talk with them. So we might have a dedicated meeting, and I would like to host it here to bring like their folks in and to present on LFAI and data, and then to for us to discuss and have some of those entry waypoints, right? The other thing that I'm kind of thinking about is instead of doing a full merge right off the bat and working out some of the kinks, we choose like a specific project to collaborate on first, right? And that can be either like the landscape, it can be a set series of workshops, it can be a series of blog posts, things like that. That's like relatively low lift so that we can kind of work out the cadence a little bit more. And we also want to figure out like who from their side is going to be part of the data ops team and working group and things like that. If I'm on both, then maybe this is just not going to feel any different. Like this might literally just be what it looks like if nobody from their side even comes, right? So yeah, yeah, we're in the courtship stage. We should figure out if we even get along, what the chemistry is like, things like that. And
Yeah,
so,
initially, this meeting for Alpha data to join this meeting probably makes sense to save time, but eventually, I won't say 100% sure. I'm 90% sure. Eventually, people will start getting interested in, for example, data lineage specific data discussions. So they want to spin off different meetings that belongs to that ecosystem alone.
yeah, I don't want to merge to divert too much though. Like I feel like if we have one meeting, this should be the meeting to do. and their meeting might be like once a month cadence anyways, and it might be closer to the actual project governance and management, right? So they might want to talk about like how different data ops projects are kind of working together and if they're being supported enough, things like that. We might not necessarily need to be in on those meetings, but I do want us to be open to attend those meetings without having to be formally part of the LFAI and data. And I think that's actually really useful. Like if we're having a meeting around, say, like something like Open Lineage or Feast slash Feature Store, like getting to discuss where those projects are at and how they can be supported. I think that we can also support some of those projects a little bit more and be friendly to those contributors. Yeah. And so I think generally the feeling is that yes, but with caveats, and we don't know how that's going to look like yet. And so I do want to be a little bit cautious. So with that in mind, I will probably bring this up to like the governing board and to DC as well, just so that they can have the chance to give their like caveats in and what they feel like, and if they're even open to having like a co-hosted group and what that might look like. We will probably have like a phasing plan in terms of integration. Again, their group has not been active for a super long time, and it would probably be me and Ezekiel as like the first two members. So I don't know who else would join it or who would be regularly in meetings. It might just be like every other working group where like just eventually nobody shows up. This group is kind of a miracle in comparison, just compared to a lot of other working groups in LF. So yeah, in terms of specifics, definitely think about it a little bit more in terms of how we can collaborate with them. Again, this is like a very group, like we're going to vote on everything and we're going to make sure that all the voices are represented here. And I don't make the final decision. So if you guys feel like even, and I don't mean just like you guys collectively, I mean like if Vivek or Dan or Victor, you specifically feel very strongly about something, like that's where we're going to go. I'm not going to like try and strong arm this in any sort of way. This is the CDF DataOps initiative. It's a group thing anyways. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, any other final thoughts before we will bring this up next meeting as well, but just wanted to open up that room.
That's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. I did want to save a bit of time to go over the next BOF. Now, does anybody have any specific BOF topics that they want to cover? I feel like it's been a while since we've done one of these. And
What
having
is
them
that? Sorry,
also
I'm
join
new to this sorcery.
like this window sharing thing.
No, with the birds of feather, what is it? Sorry, I've
Oh,
not ever joined that before.
okay. Basically, it's just a heated group discussion. It's pretty straightforward. Vivek has actually been like the one who's hosted our most successful Birds of a Feathers. Although the last one that Victor did was actually really good as well. I think you participated in that one where we just like have a general topic and we decide to have somebody facilitate that conversation and we just discuss it as a group. So, for example, one of the ones that we did was on like MCP and evaluating MCP, like what are our thoughts on MCP. So it's not a presentation, it's just like I'm going to throw this question out to the general group and then we discuss some of the things around it. Some of it can be very like handheldy and led. Other times it's just like literally just throwing the topic out there and us going down rabbit holes.
When does that happen? Like, is there a time like this happens every Wednesday? When does that happen?
So that's usually part of this meeting. And what we'll do is that we'll reserve the half of one of these meetings for that. And it happens ideally every other meeting. So we're behind. We haven't done one in a while. I think, Victor, when did you do yours? That was probably like a month ago, right? Was it more than that?
Yeah, end of July, I believe.
Yeah, end of July. Can you remind me which topic that was? For some reason, I like my
Metastore.
yeah meta stores.
Oh
And
yeah, I
so
remember that now. Oh, that was Birds of Feather. Okay.
yeah,
Really
I remember
good.
you being there for that. And I was like, these guys are still going really hard on this topic, but I have to leave early. Let's hope it doesn't blow up.
Oh, okay, okay. I did not know the tag of it, but yeah, now I do get what we did. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So you get the format now. So are there any specific topics? I actually do have a topic to vibe coding. Vibe coding is a good one. I'm gonna put vibe coding for DataOps because, well, I mean, we're a DataOps initiative.
I'm actually talking to these guys in Taylor and Francis. So the next book I am writing is on vibe coding. So the book's name is not a vibe coder. So this whole yeah, this whole vibe coding thing is a scam. And I do understand AI assisted coding. I do understand you utilizing AI to enhance your work and get things done faster. But I still do not believe outsourcing your thinking. Then mostly the vibe coding thing I see around is that they just tell AI what to do, then copy logs in case everything goes wrong, and in the end they don't even know what's in the code. And oh, it was working yesterday, now it's not working. So I do have a framework of that around, and the co-author of my previous book, he's working with me. He was associated with writing the kernel of Linux, so he has some interesting takes on this AI assisted coding and how to make it better, because his training and my training has been done by those people who wrote Linux, and they have very strong practices around this. So yeah, that is something that will be interesting to talk about, and maybe some good content for my book, upcoming
Yeah.
book.
Okay, it feels like Vivek already is primed for this topic. He might come in with these really hot takes.
Oh, I've been actually fighting with a lot of fighting means like arguing with these guys on LinkedIn. I'm a 10x engineer, dude. You cannot even tell a difference between function and a class, and you're talking about being 10x, and tell me one thing I cannot build without AI. With AI, I can build anything and all that. No, the best you can do is an MVP when you have to deploy it for serving, a million users. Then I would like to see how your application holds up. Then I would like to see what kind of DevOps practices that you have come up with. So there's a lot we can go on about. So I've been engaging with a lot of people on this.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
minute
down.
ago, I wanted to follow up, make sure that Lisa, you're in Dan's presentation and be okay. You're gonna reach out to Paul about that.
DOK presentation. Sorry, let me add that to the meeting minutes. So it depends on the time of when we want to do it on their calendar. I don't know, Dan. What do you feel? I don't want to sign us up for something we
I
can't
think
do.
When is it? Just give look. I'm going to Denmark from 14 to 25, and then I have a conference 1st to 3rd. After that, I'm pretty much free in October.
Yeah, I think their schedule is pretty open, so I think it's pretty easy to schedule for them. But I feel if it can be done before the Atlanta KubeCon, we can probably socialize that there, because that's where these people are.
Is anybody also going to KubeCon other than Victor?
I've heard that the next one is in Spain, right? In Valencia or something.
That's for EU. There's one in Atlanta in the US here as well.
I may come for I may come to Stanford or something for one of my secondments. Maybe if it collides. Otherwise, Simon told me that there's one in Spain. If there is one that's gonna happen in Spain, I would just take a train or something and come by. Why not? Or
Yeah,
I think
it
the
sounds
one
good.
2027 is in Spain, right?
I don't know actually. Let me Google this. I've never been to Spain, so it might be a good excuse for me. Oh.
It's lovely here. It's really good.
Is that
Okay.
where you are, Dan?
Yeah, I'm in Granada. That's
Oh, nice.
Andalusia.
Cool. My screen just reset. Can everybody hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay. Verbal vote on the next BOF as we're running out of time. Vibe coding, monolith versus microservices. And I'm also adding in like the transactional data layer that we've seen in the last year. I haven't had much of a chance to deep dive into it, but it seems like serverless Postgres is a big theme right now in AI. And I really need a reason to jump into it. So verbal vote, just roundtable for what your top pick is for next one. And it doesn't mean that we won't get to it another time, but for the next one, what do we feel like?
Web coding, I think, is very interesting, but what's DataOps role in web coding?
Vivek?
The transactional.
And Dan?
I've already given you the vibe coding was my suggestion.
Yeah, so the very first suggestion is vibe coding. For the next one, I'm feeling vibe coding as well. Not because I think that the actual discussion is going to be hilarious, and I don't know if we're going to want to repost it alone compared to like our evaluation videos. But I think it's a good warm up, and I think the one after that should probably veer towards transaction, because I think that that's a little bit more technical. Whereas vibe coding is just kind of us around table, like shit talking a little bit. But maybe that's what we need.
No, it's a good topic, and probably there is some way we can tie what we do in the data ops world. Maybe, yeah. I think, I will. I'll wait for the POF.
Yeah.
I won't give away too
Vivek
much.
voted against it, but he's already starting it off.
I'm telling you, this is a good topic. And once I start talking crap on this, you guys will join up and I can take it to any technical level you want me to. So no problem in that. No problem in that.
Okay, vibe coding is our winner. Oh, whoops. For the next meeting. Okay, we're gonna hold this.
Maybe we can even publish a paper. We have all the 4 authors here, first, second, third, and fourth.
Yeah. Well, can we vibe code the paper? Why would I need to write it myself if I'm not even writing my own code?
And that is case in point. Now I'll put this as my next year.
Okay. Next meeting, we're reserving at least half an hour. Bring your hot takes, bring any articles. Knowing Victor, we're gonna end up with 20 tabs, and that's the way that we like it. So let's have some fun. All right. See everyone.
See you all.
Ciao, everyone.
Bye.
Adios. Bye.